Europe is splitting into two worlds, one for the ultra-rich and one for everyone else. Across major European capitals and coastal paradises, the cost of living has hit absurd levels. In certain cities, dinners topping €200, parking spaces costing €400 a month, and private memberships demanding six-figure deposits are becoming the norm. Housing is even worse. Median apartment prices now push €1.5 million, while modest flats list for €800,000. Renters aren't safe either, with one-bedrooms climbing past €3,500 monthly, and property taxes adding €15,000 to €20,000 a year. This isn't just expensive, it's exclusion by wealth. Here are 10 European cities where only millionaires can still belong. Number 10. Dublin, Ireland. Dublin, once a modest capital with cobbled streets and literary heritage, has morphed into one of Europe's most expensive housing markets. The numbers speak volumes. The median home price now hovers around €500,000, with prime areas like Ballsbridge or Dalkey pushing €1.5 to €3 million. Renters face no relief, with a typical one-bedroom in the city center demanding €2,300 per month, almost double the EU average. The pressure comes from Dublin's role as a tech hub, with multinational headquarters like Google, Meta, and LinkedIn driving demand from highly paid professionals earning €100,000 plus annually. Supply hasn't kept up. Over the past decade, home prices jumped nearly 80%, while wage growth for ordinary workers barely reached 20%. The affordability gap keeps widening. Daily life isn't cheap either. Groceries cost 20% more than the EU average. Utilities are among the highest in Western Europe, and car insurance averages €1,200 yearly. Dining out? A simple dinner for two can run €120 to €150, while parking in the city center easily costs €250 to €400 monthly. The result is clear. Teachers, nurses, and service workers are priced out, forced into long commutes from surrounding counties. What was once a charming, accessible capital has become a millionaire's enclave, where only tech elites and global investors can comfortably stake a claim. Dublin's pubs may still flow with Guinness, but the entry ticket to live here now comes with a millionaire's price tag. Number 9. Geneva, Switzerland. Geneva, nestled on the shores of Lake Geneva with the Alps as its backdrop, is often described as one of the most expensive cities on Earth. The median home price here hovers around 1.2 million Swiss francs, with luxury apartments along the waterfront easily surpassing 3 to 5 million Swiss francs. In elite enclaves like Cologne, mansions regularly list above 10 million Swiss francs, attracting foreign investors and wealthy expatriates. Renters face no mercy either. A one-bedroom apartment in central Geneva averages 2,500 to 3,000 Swiss francs per month, nearly triple what you'd pay in many European capitals. Housing supply is notoriously tight, with vacancy rates under 1%, leaving middle-class residents struggling to find even modest flats. The pressure comes from Geneva's role as a global financial and diplomatic hub, home to the United Nations, countless NGOs, and banking giants. The city constantly attracts high-earning professionals with six-figure salaries. Ordinary workers can't compete. Daily expenses add more pain. Groceries are 35% above the European average, utilities rank among the highest in the continent, and dining out for two easily costs 120 to 160 Swiss francs at a mid-range restaurant. Car ownership is punishing too, with insurance averaging 1,500 Swiss francs per year, and parking spaces costing upwards of 300 Swiss francs monthly. Geneva may offer luxury boutiques, ski resorts just an hour away, and a cosmopolitan lifestyle, but it's increasingly a millionaire's playground. For locals in healthcare, teaching, or public services, the city is financially out of reach. Geneva's lakeside beauty remains, but only those with deep pockets can afford to live along its shimmering shores. Number 8. Copenhagen, Denmark. Copenhagen, once celebrated for its laid-back Scandinavian charm, has transformed into one of Europe's most unaffordable capitals. The median apartment price now hovers around 600,000 euros, while prime neighborhoods like Österbro or Frederiksberg see listings soaring above 1.3 million euros. Renters are squeezed too, with a typical one-bedroom in central Copenhagen demanding 1,600 to 2,000 euros. Over the past decade, prices have nearly doubled, while wage growth for ordinary Danes has lagged far behind. The drivers? Copenhagen's green tech economy, design industry, and reputation as one of the world's most livable cities. Wealthy internationals flock here, outbidding locals. At the same time, limited housing supply and strict urban planning keep inventory scarce. Everyday costs are no relief. Groceries run 25% above EU averages. Utilities are steep due to high energy taxes, and dining out can be shocking. A casual dinner for two can easily reach 135 euros. Car ownership is a luxury in itself, with registration taxes making vehicles nearly double the price compared to Germany. Even cycling, Copenhagen's pride, comes with rising costs. Bike parking fees and theft insurance now average 400 euros yearly. Copenhagen may boast world-class restaurants, bike lanes, and hygge culture, but the financial burden ensures that only millionaires and high-salary professionals can enjoy it comfortably. For many Danes, the capital has drifted beyond reach, leaving them priced out of their own Nordic jewel. Number 7. Amsterdam, Netherlands. Amsterdam, once famous for its canals and bohemian culture, has been swallowed by a housing crisis that feels like outright exclusion. The median home price here sits near 600,000 euros, while canal houses in Jordan or De Pijp routinely list for 1.5 to 3 million euros. A one-bedroom apartment averages 2,000 to 2,400 euros monthly, with demand so high that bidding wars often push prices even higher. Vacancy is rare, forcing many residents to settle for tiny studios at outrageous rates. The transformation is driven by Amsterdam's role as a financial hub, tech hotspot, and tourist magnet. International buyers with far deeper pockets distort the market, while Airbnb and short-term rentals shrink long-term housing supply. Everyday costs stack up quickly. Groceries run about 20% above the EU average, and dining out is punishing. A mid-range dinner for two can easily cost 120 to 150 euros. Parking in central Amsterdam is among the highest in Europe, often 7 to 10 euros per hour, or 400 euros plus monthly. Even basic transport adds up, with yearly public transit passes near 1,200 euros. For locals, the math doesn't add up. Median household income sits around 45,000 euros, far below what's needed to buy property. The result? Lifelong Amsterdammers are being pushed out to suburbs, while the capital becomes a showcase for millionaires, investors, and wealthy expats. Amsterdam's charm hasn't faded, but affordability has disappeared. Number 6. Berlin, Germany. Berlin was once Europe's hidden bargain. After reunification, it drew artists, students, and bohemians who thrived on cheap rents and endless creativity. But that Berlin is long gone. Today, the city has transformed into one of Europe's hottest real estate markets, where millionaires call the shots. The median apartment price now sits around 550,000 euros, with properties in Mitte or Charlottenburg pushing 1.2 to 2 million euros. Luxury penthouses in Potsdamer Platz or along the Spree River easily list above 5 million euros. Even modest flats once sold for 150,000 euros are now approaching 500,000. Renters face the same squeeze. One-bedroom apartments in central Berlin average 1,600 to 2,000 euros per month, far above the German national average of about 850 euros. Despite rent control laws, supply is so short that bidding wars have become common. Driving this surge is Berlin's evolution into a tech hub and startup capital, with foreign investors flooding the market. Wealthy buyers from abroad snap up property as safe assets, pushing locals out. In the past decade, property values climbed more than 100%, while wage growth for average workers lagged under 25%. Daily life isn't much cheaper. Groceries and utilities are 20% above the German average. A dinner for two in central Berlin often runs 100 to 140 euros, and parking costs 200 euros plus monthly. Childcare fees, while subsidized, still strain families as housing eats the bulk of income. Berlin may still boast its cultural edge, art scene, and nightlife, but affordability has collapsed. The city that once symbolized freedom and accessibility has now become a millionaire's investment hub, where the working class is slowly priced out of its own capital. Number 5. Paris, France. Paris, the city of lights, love, and increasingly, staggering costs. The median apartment price here sits around 11,000 euros per square meter, meaning even a modest two-bedroom in central arrondissements costs well above 1 million euros. In areas like Saint-Germain-des-Prés or Champs-Élysées, luxury apartments climb into the 5 to 10 million euro range. Renters aren't spared. A typical one-bedroom apartment averages 2,500 to 3,200 euros monthly, with luxury rentals easily doubling that. Despite government regulations, the housing crunch has made affordable flats nearly impossible to secure without waiting lists or personal connections. The cost drivers? Paris remains Europe's financial, cultural, and fashion capital, attracting investors, corporations, and ultra-wealthy individuals from across the globe. Over the last decade, property prices have surged more than 70%, while average wages grew just 15%. Everyday living piles on the burden. Groceries in Paris cost about 30% more than the French average. Dining out for two at a mid-tier restaurant regularly exceeds 120 to 150 euros, and even basic cafes in central districts charge 8 euros for a coffee and croissant. Transportation is expensive too, with annual metro passes near 850 euros and parking spaces costing 300 to 400 euros monthly. The result is a hollowing out of the middle class. Teachers, service workers, and young families are pushed into suburbs, enduring long commutes while Paris itself becomes a showcase for the global elite. Paris may dazzle with its museums, cuisine, and architecture, but for ordinary people, the dream of living here has been reduced to a fantasy. Number 4. Monaco. Monaco, the tiny principality wedged on the French Riviera, is more myth than city when it comes to affordability. With less than 2 square kilometers of land, space is the most precious commodity, and millionaires are the only ones who can buy in. The median price per square meter is now 50,000 euros to 60,000 euros, making Monaco the most expensive real estate market in the world. That means even a modest one-bedroom apartment costs well over 3 million euros, while penthouses in Monte Carlo often exceed 20 to 50 million euros. Renting offers no relief. A small studio can easily cost 4,000 euros per month, while luxury apartments soar to 15,000 euros monthly or more. Property supply is so restricted that units are snapped up instantly by wealthy foreigners seeking tax advantages. Daily life is equally punishing. Groceries run 40% higher than the EU average. Basic utilities often exceed 500 euros monthly, and dining out is astronomical. A dinner for two at an upscale restaurant frequently costs 200 to 300 euros, while private clubs and beach memberships demand tens of thousands annually. Number 3. Zurich, Switzerland. Zurich, Switzerland's financial capital, is consistently ranked among the world's most expensive cities. The median apartment price sits around 1.2 million Swiss francs, with central districts like Seefeld or Eng pushing 2 to 4 million Swiss francs. Luxury villas along Lake Zurich often exceed 10 million Swiss francs, attracting international bankers and investors. Renters are equally strained. A one-bedroom averages 2,500 to 3,000 Swiss francs monthly, while larger family apartments quickly surpass 5,000 Swiss francs. Vacancy rates remain below 1%, intensifying competition. The cost reflects Zurich's position as a global banking hub with high salaries and low unemployment. But while wealthy professionals thrive, average Swiss households are left struggling. Over the last decade, property prices jumped more than 60%, while wage growth sat at just 20%. Number 2. London, United Kingdom. London, one of the world's most iconic cities, has become nearly impossible to afford without millionaire status. The median home price across Greater London sits at £530,000, but in prime areas like Chelsea, Mayfair, or Kensington, apartments soar to £2 to £5 million. Ultra-luxury townhouses in Belgravia, or Knightsbridge, easily exceed £20 million. Renters find little relief. A one-bedroom in central London averages £2,500 to £3,500 monthly, while luxury units push well above £5,000. Even modest flats in outer boroughs have climbed dramatically in price. The surge stems from London's role as a global financial, cultural, and real estate hub, where overseas investors park billions in property. Over the past 2 decades, housing prices have surged more than 200%, while wage growth stagnated at 20 to 30%. Number 1. Oslo, Norway. Oslo might surprise some, but it has quietly become one of the most expensive capitals in Europe. The median home price now stands near €600,000, with central neighborhoods like Frogner or Majorstuen listing apartments well above €600,000 minimum. Waterfront penthouses along the Oslo fjord easily exceed €2.5 million. Renters suffer just as much. A one-bedroom apartment averages €1,400 to €1,800, among the highest in Scandinavia. Housing supply is limited, and bidding wars are standard. Daily expenses compound the burden. Groceries in Norway cost 40% more than the EU average, utilities are steep due to high energy taxes, and dining out for two often exceeds €130. Alcohol and car ownership carry heavy taxes, with annual insurance and registration fees topping €1,300.